All right, so that's our absence healing. I will now offer each of you a message from Spirit. A couple of things about our messages. The messages are offered for your highest and best good. And what that means is we invite our spirit guides and teachers to tell us what they feel we need to hear today to assist us on our journey forward. If you have a specific thing you would like to know about, I would invite you to get very clear in your mind's eye about exactly the information you're looking for and hold that intention that you receive a message about that. As we get the messages, remember this is a public forum, and what that means is, since it's not private between you and I, there's not ministerial confidentiality, so other people will hear your message. Well, the benefit of that is that many times Spirit will present a message in a way that it helps more than one person. So if I'm giving a message to someone else, and you like what I'm saying, if it feels right, if it rings true, take it for yourself. Write it in your journal and allow that to inform you and your decision making moving forward this next week. When I come to you, I need a positive, affirmative, yes, I want a message. If you're on the video, I can see that. If your video's not on, I'll need you to unmute and say yes. I would never presume I have the right to touch your vibration in this level of intimacy and share a message with you. Even with my wife, she says I have carte blanche to give her a message anytime, and she still has to ask. Of course, she also feels like she's the shoemaker's kids and never gets a message. So she doesn't show up on Zoom. You don't show up on Zoom, you don't get a message. Sarcasm is also one of my gifts, in addition to self-deprecating humility. And after you receive your message, you're welcome to go out and enjoy the rest of your day. You don't have to stay here for everything else. The one thing I would have you do, though, is many times when we're not in the hot seat receiving a message, we will hear things that are said to other people in ways that we cannot hear it for ourselves because we don't think it's about us. So you may want to consider staying and watching. The other thing is, and this one hit me yesterday. Was it yesterday? I have no freaking clue. Sometime in the last week, it dawned on me. Oh, I know why. Because I'm getting in the process of getting the classes going again. As you listen, as I offer a message to people, pay attention to what intuitive knowing you have if you were to give that same person a message. And I'm not going to verify this, I'm not going to validate it, but if I'm going to give a message to someone else, quiet your mind while I'm quieting my mind and see what you would tell them. And invite your spirit teachers to say, tell me what Terry's going to tell them. And this is a practice that allows you to practice your intuitive knowing. You're connecting with your spirit guides and teachers, and then being able to see whether or not how you perceive things is similar to how I would perceive things and share them. So that's another way you can actively participate during the messages service, is to kind of start working on your own message bearing ability. Okay, so take a deep breath, and I will offer Lisa a message. Would you like a message, Lisa? Okay.
Yes.
I've got a message for you, and this is very much around your work and your vocation. And I've got 2 boxes, and in one box are Legos, and in the other box are playing cards. And there are 3 people trying to use these 2 different boxes. And everybody wants the Legos because the task is to build a structure. And the belief is that the Legos will allow people to build a structure a better structure than the playing cards. And while a house of cards is not very strong. In this case, a house of cards is all that's needed, because the belief is that this project needs to be built structurally for a long time. And in this case, and this is part of your intuitive knowing, it's just a temporary fix to get you from where you are to where you want to go. So allow yourself to trust that if you are if you're building this, the house of cards, a house built of cards, is sufficient structure to transition from where you are right now to where you want to go. At which point you will learn enough to better use the resources of the Legos to build something more permanent. And I will bless you and leave you with that. Do you have any question about that, or does that relate?
It does relate. There's all kinds of stuff at work, yeah. But no, I have no question. I do want to tell you that you had given me a message a couple of weeks ago, and it was so spot on. That I would be closing the sale of my house just before Thanksgiving, and we are closing next Monday, the Monday before Thanksgiving. So
Yay.
I just want to let you know that.
Yay! Thank you for the verification and validation. I think I mentioned to you all before, one of the things that's missing over Zoom is I don't get, since we're not in the same room, I don't get the positive feedback of your vibration to know whether or not my messages are landing. So thank you for that verification. And congratulations.
Thank you. And say hi to Amy for me. I miss you guys both.
I was hoping we would be able to have a Southern California Thanksgiving connection, but things are not cooperating on that front at all. Not. So, okay, thank you for the feedback on that, and congratulations.
Thank you.
And Robin, you're next. Would you like a message? So this message is from Tao Chuan Ling, and Tao Chuan Ling shares with you a reminder about the Buddhist concept of effortless effort. And he is specifically saying that effortless effort is not the same thing as walk quietly and carry a big stick. Effortless effort is allowing yourself to experience things as they come up without trying to change or alter or shift the circumstance, simply allowing yourself to experience what there is to be experienced. And too many times when we begin to delve into the spiritual realms, we try to apply the same learning and understanding that is required in the physical realm to get spiritual results. And in the physical realm, if I'm going to whip myself into shape, I'm going to go and do push-ups and sit-ups and running and do all this stuff and whip myself into shape, there's a certain level of pain and discomfort involved with it. Too many times we bring that pain and discomfort into our spiritual practices, which then create the pain and discomfort so many people experience in their spiritual development. When indeed that is simply the delusions of our outward senses, the delusions of our physical perception being projected onto our spiritual work. So really ponder for this next week, actually between now and the end of the year for you is what Tao Chuan Ling is saying, the difference between effortless effort, a generalized allowing, versus walk quietly and carry a big stick. I think you may find a way to comprehend that the big stick is optional and not at all required. And I will bless you and leave you with that. Any question or comment or concern on that? Okay. I'll bless you and leave you that. And Beverly, would you like a message, ma'am?
Yes, please.
All right, so this is coming from Nathan, and Nathan is reminding you about really deep, cleansing, restorative breathing, especially going into the next 2 weeks. And he just shows me, the feeling of, you know, when you wear pants that are a little bit too tight and you finally take the pants off and it's just kind of like, oh. He wants you to be present to that feeling, especially going into the next 2 to 3 weeks. And he wants you to consciously almost set an alarm on your phone that reminds you every 20 minutes or so just to take a really deep, relaxing breath. Because there's a sense of shell shock, a sense of kind of apprehension and anxiety about what's going to come that is not getting released from you on a regular basis. So as things escalate, not only are you dealing with the circumstance you're dealing with, but you're also dealing with not getting complete with the circumstance previously. So really, and do that two, 3 times an hour, and it'll really allow yourself to be present in the moment and self-generating your own relaxation. And I will bless you and leave you with that. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Not wearing their masks.
Yeah. I would be so tempted to have a friggin' water gun and spray them.
I'd like to have a BB gun. Isn't that terrible? But anyhow.
Yeah, the BB gun you probably could get arrested for.
Yeah.
A water gun you'd probably only get fired for. All right, I will bless you and leave you with that.
Thank you, Terry.
You're welcome. And Sylvia, would you like a message?
Yes, please.
Excellent. Did you ever send me that information you were going to send me on the affirmations?
No,
Okay. If you did, I didn't get it.
My
So that's
brain took me somewhere else, and it confused stuff. I eventually heard your speech, your talk on affirmations, and I got that.
okay.
But the other thing, I think my brain went somewhere else and said, oh, no, but that's not what it was. Oh,
Got it.
I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, you're welcome to send that to me if you'd like to, and ask me any questions.
Thank you.
All right. So we lost Hazel. So darn it. Okay. I'll reach out to her. So Sylvia, would you like a message?
Yes, please.
Oh, this is beautiful. So Tao Chuan Ling steps very, very close to me. And Tao Chuan Ling is a Chinese priest. He's my high spirit teacher. And he shows you holding a dandelion with all the little seeds. And you blow. And every seed on this whole dandelion just gets dispersed out into the world except for one. And you're fixated on how do you get this one dandelion seed off of the plant. And so you're huffing and puffing and you're blowing and you're really fixating on this one thing. And this one thing is stuck there. It's super glued. It's like it's welded onto this thing and it's not going to come. Even if you tried to pull it off, it's not going to come off. And Tao Chuan Ling wants you to really remember that you've already put hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of little pieces of beauty out in the world. And he really wants you to acknowledge that, and don't worry so much about the one that's not getting away, the one that's not complying, the one that's not doing as you wish. Because there's so much more out there that you've contributed to and created, and or you're waiting to have start to take root and blossom, that if you put your attention out there on all the ones that blew off of this dandelion instead of the one that's not, it will create a mindset shift that may allow this other thing to find its course. It's kind of like that whole thing about a watched pot never boils. And you're watching so closely this one thing that you're not seeing all the other beauty that's around you. And it's immense, my dear. It is so immense, it's not even funny. I've got contributions and connections and things differences you've made for people that really will help generations down the road. And I will bless you and leave you with that. So acknowledge all of that instead of the one that's stuck. Okay, I bless you and leave you with that. And Melanie, would you like a message? Do you do crossword puzzles? No? So I've got you with, and I guess this is supposed to be like one of the legendary crossword puzzles, like the New York Times crossword puzzle. And I've got you with this crossword puzzle. And as you look at it, there's only I think there's 60 different clues. And there's 3 or 4 of them you know. And everything else on there you don't know. And the message from this, and this is coming from Nathan. And Nathan, again, is my companion guide healer. And Nathan is sharing with you that how the hell would you know? This is not an area you've got expertise. And you have to really decide whether or not this is something you want to get good at. You know, I've been married for a long, long time, about 2014, so 16 years or whatever. Or 2004, 16 years. And about the only thing I remember fondly about dating is when you date, you get to experience new things. You know, I remember Cuban food. I remember finding some music I hadn't heard before. So there's this experience of connecting with other people and experiencing what they experience. But pretty much the rest of dating sucked. And one of the things that sucks is you meet someone who likes to do the New York Times crossword puzzle and they get all proud about I can do it in 10 minutes. And you look at it and you see 50 answers you can't get out of the 60. Allow yourself to really see what's important to you and only take on learning and progressing in areas that are important to you, that feel right to you, that ring true for you. Allow yourself to trust that part of yourself that feels right. And learning this self-trust, this self-awareness allows you then to not be the chameleon when you connect with other people. You become a self-actualized you rather than someone who adapts to others in a chameleon-like fashion. Because the problem with the chameleon is it's not sustainable long term. And it takes all of your energy putting yourself out as something that's really not comfortable for you. Like trying to figure out how to do the New York Times crossword puzzle because someone else likes to do it. And I will bless you and leave you with that. And I will also ask you, does that make any damn sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
yeah.
good. Whew. my dear, you give me some of the most awkward readings I have to express. And the way we train ourselves is we give what we get. And we trust that what we get is what you need, even though it makes no sense to me whatsoever.
Right.
And there are very similar traits that you share that I have. And so there is a vulnerability in sharing the messages with you exactly as I get them, because I'm afraid I will influence them, because there's a similarity between how we manage life. Anyway, so I will bless you and leave you with that. I'm glad it makes sense, and just do you, boo. All right. Anyone else have a question or concern? And so I will reach out to Hazel and see if I can help her with a message later. Larry, would you like a message? I've got an image of you sitting on it's not a rocking chair, but it's a very rustic chair. It feels like it's got a rustic background, and it feels like this is something that's being shared with me by Nathan, and it feels like it has to do with a past life or something from one of your kind of, I don't know if it's an earlier part of this lifetime or a past life. But you're kind of sitting on a front porch, you're in a rustic type chair, and you've got a piece of wood that you are whittling and carving, trying to replicate a gladiola, a very fancy flower. And you've got a piece of wood that you're working, and you've got a pocket knife. I'm assuming it's a pocket knife. It looks like a pocket knife, but the interesting thing is the blade has been sharpened so many times. It's almost a nub, but it's your favorite knife. But the knife is really on its last legs. And right next to you on a small table, next to a tasty adult beverage, it appears to be some type of white liquor. I will not presume to understand what it is. I'm not getting the smell of it, but it doesn't feel like it came out of a store-bought bottle. Is this other knife, and it is nice and shiny. It's the blade is still got its original factory edge on it, but you're resisting reaching over and grabbing this new knife because you're so comfortable and so skilled at using this other knife that's been just a companion and a friend and a beautiful tool for a long time. And the message from this today is, once your tools are no longer effective to do the job you want them to do, consider changing them out to a more effective tool. And there's a situation that you're trying to bring about, and the tool you're using it's not getting the job done. So it's time to really look at a different tool. Change your perspective. Look at the problem from a slightly different point of view. Really allow yourself to see what else is available to you to help you solve this problem. Help you express this gorgeous gladiola in this medium of wood and capture the essence of what you want. So really look at a place that you're kind of struggling, and the way you're doing it, it's almost like it's the original knife is almost like an extension of your hand. It's so familiar, it's so comfortable. It's such a big part of who you are and who you've been. So really look at if you're struggling to bring something about, if it's time not to change methodology, change tools, change techniques, and start the learning curve to get the results you want with the new tool or the new implement. This feels just like the intimacy of this wood with the gladiola. This is something that feels very personal, very individual, and very rewarding to you. So with that, I will bless you and then ask you, one of the things I've really discovered about doing this on Zoom is I'm missing, when I'm giving you a message in person, I get a connection of whether the message is landing. So did that land for you? Do you have any questions or concerns about it?
I'll say this much, is that you touched at a place that just the things that you brought across there are very close to parallel to my own life now. In the past, I've done a lot of whittling in wood and especially flowers.
Oh.
And it's just blown me away how close you came to that. But it's also very nice to know that I do need to make a change here, I believe.
Got it. Okay.
There are some things in my life that I've been working towards that aren't moving in the way I want them to, and now I know it's time for me to let go of that knife. And the strange thing was I also had a knife that is now gone that was that knife for me.
Oh, wow. Well, good. Thank you for the feedback. I can't take any credit for the message. I'm just the radio. So
I understand, but
Yeah.
it's just it blows me away though when I do get messages like that, and
Excellent.
that was wonderful.
Thank you. And that was part of the feedback loop I was missing, is that message was so intimate in its detail. And if you and I were in the same room, I would be able to get the sense of how you were receiving that. And that sense doesn't transfer over Zoom. So thank you for the feedback, and good luck in finding the right tool to bring about what you want. I'll bless you and leave you with that. And Judy, would you like a message, ma'am?
Yes, please.
Excellent. All right, so I've got a teacher who shows up from time to time. She's like an antebellum version of me. She's very powerful. She's very no nonsense. She's very practical and pragmatic, and she has a message for you. Her name is Clarissa. And Clarissa is showing me the image, and I don't know what the heck they call it, but there's this thing that there's an old-timey way they used to clean rugs, and they had this like beater, and they would take the rug and they would put it over a piece of rope and they would just beat it. And as they beat it, all the dust and stuff would shake out of it. And it's like a wire thingy like this on the end of a piece of wood, like a wood handle, and you just beat it. And she's reminding you that sometimes when you're doing tasks like that, even though they're dusty and they're smelly and they're not necessarily the favorite task of anyone, they're very rewarding for two reasons. One, you get to really get physical, get in there, but you also see the progress of what you're doing. So with every whack of this device on this rug, you see less stuff being knocked out of it. And you're in a situation right now where you really would benefit between now and the new year of having a way to notice the progress you're making in some of the tasks you've got to do. Because right now they're kind of cerebral, they're kind of like more spreadsheet stuff than they are practical real world expression. And she's wanting you to find out and discover within yourself a way you can get that sense of satisfaction and reward for doing a job, a physical job in the real world that you can see the progress for. She's reminding you that sometimes you have to be creative, sometimes you have to get help or feedback from other people to kind of get a sense of the progress you're making. But if you can figure out a way to get the sense of the progress you're making, not only will it get rid of some of that anxiety and pent-up frustration you've got, but it's almost kind of like when you make a nice meal for someone and you have all the steps that go into making the nice meal, then you get to eat the nice meal with them. There's that sense of progress. There's that sense of accomplishment. And she's really wanting you to find a way to get that sense of accomplishment and satisfaction and reward within you for what you're trying to bring about between now and the end of the year. And she is going into the new year also a little bit. So I will bless you and leave you with that, and then ask you, did it make sense? Do you have is there any clarification I can give you on that?
No, I think, as always, it really hit home, and it, because I was looking at being finished versus the little burst of dust. I think that's what, I'm going to take from that I need to feel good about the steps instead of just being finished taking the rug off. So thank you, Terry.
Yeah, it would be really nice if you could, if the rug would just clean itself and put itself back down. But there's all those steps of moving the furniture and taking it out and making this incremental progress. So I will bless you and leave you with that, and talk to you real soon. All right, Claudia, would you like a message? All right, Claudia, this one's for you. All right, Claudia, this is coming from Nathan, and he's showing me you're in front of a stove, and you've got a pot of something on the stove that it says on the recipe card that you need to stir continuously until it thickens. Now, this recipe card is old and yellow and dog-eared and has smudges. It's not inside a plastic sleeve or anything like that. So this is a very old recipe, and it is given, it's one of those things that is reminding you that you have to go by feel. You have to stir continuously until you get it to the consistency that you want. The problem is the way it's written on the card, it says until thickens, and it doesn't really tell you what thicken is. So, is it thickened to the point where the spoon stands up, or is it just kind of until it's no longer like water? And Nathan is reminding you that in this circumstance, the choice is up to you. And as you are following this formula, this recipe, this guidance of the recipe card, really allow yourself to make it your own. Really allow yourself to add your flair to it. Allow yourself to trust what you kind of know, rather than stay in your head and trying to figure out what you think is meant by this instruction. Sometimes you get so close to solving the problem, you forget that you're pretty ingenious at solving problems. If you allow yourself to step back a little bit, take a breath, and trust what you know. And especially going into the holidays, really allow yourself to trust what you know and your intuitive sense of what's right. And the last thing he's wanting me to add is to trust your preference. Some people have a preference that they like things up more on the runny side. Some people like the preference of having it really thick. And it's a circumstance where if you really allow yourself to trust your preference, then you will begin to attract around you people who are more like and similar to you. Too many times we will do what we think we have to do to make the crowd happy, and we are not really satisfied with the result. So then we start attracting around ourselves the people that are part of the crowd rather than the people like us. And really allowing yourself to follow this recipe, follow these instructions, and really trust exactly what feels right to you and what you prefer is the next step in you setting up 2021 to be the way you want it to be. And I will bless you and leave you that. And do you have any questions, comments, or concerns?
No, I know it's your message is, it's, the school right now. I haven't yet made the offer.
Okay.
I am still, I will make it before the year's over. Still, I've been playing it in my mind, what I'm going to tell the director of the school, and that's other stuff as well, other personal stuff. So I see a lot of the different things that are going on in my life in your message.
Okay, good.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I bless you and leave you with that. And Hanna, would you like a message? Okay, so I've got you walking, and this is very near and dear to my heart, so I had to look twice at it. I've got you walking a little dog. And it's interesting, it's not the little dog I met at your house the other day. It's a different little dog. And as you're walking this little dog, you're really upset at exactly how much this dog poops. And every time you turn around, this dog is pooping and you have to clean up the poop, but you're really enjoying the walk, but you really hate the poop. And you think about leaving the dog at home, but like the dog is enjoying the walk as much as you, but the dog is still pooping. And so Tao Chuan Ling, my high teacher, is reminding you dogs poop. And part of the agreement when you have a dog is that dogs poop. And if you're going to enjoy the dog, you got to endure the poop. So it's a reminder of accepting things as they are and learning to embrace the poop. Because you can't have a dog without the poop. And this applies both to your health and your relationship with other people and having this three-dimensional physical body that we all are traveling around this lifetime with. And I will bless you and leave you with that and ask you, does that make sense? Do you have any questions, concerns, yeah, buts?
Oh, I think it's, am I on that? So it's probably that I would like to be perfect and I'm studying this body and I cannot be so perfect in this body. That's what it is probably, yeah.
Yeah, and that's probably why you like me, because I have the similar thing about perfection. So I bless you and leave you with that. And Albert, would you like a message?
Yes, sir, please.
This is interesting. I've got you with a old-fashioned slingshot. And what I mean by old-fashioned is it's cut from a tree, and the bottom of the slingshot is probably 2.5 inches in diameter, and then it's a perfect little fork that dropped down to about 1 inch to 1.5 inches in diameter, and the other one's like 1 inch to 1.25 inches diameter. So it's this fork, and you've got rubber attached to it in a little pouch for the thing, and you're trying to master the use of the slingshot. But here's the interesting thing about it. You're getting bored with just shooting static targets. And you're trying to figure out a way to shoot a moving target, but you're really not pleased every time you think about shooting a rabbit or a bird or some other little squirrel or something like that. So you know that that's what you want to do, but you're not pleased with yourself for having the thought of doing it. And so this message is coming from Tao Chuan Ling. And Tao Chuan Ling is reminding you of the difference between practice for the sake of practice and practice for survival. So practice for the sake of practice and practice for survival. And if you were living on a farm and your only survival was to practice with this slingshot and get really good at hitting moving targets, which are the birds and the bunnies and the squirrels, and that's with supper, that's different than practicing in your backyard in Southern California to get good in the satisfaction of hitting the mark. And he really wants you to look at the difference between those two. One is a skill, which is an essential life skill, and one is a hobby. And he's reminding you that if your life depends on something, the way that you approach something is completely different than if you have a skill that you're just trying to practice, master as a hobby. And I will bless you and leave you with that, and then ask you if you have any questions or if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, I've felt that way for quite a while. But I was wondering, will you be giving messages in general to the group anymore? A group message.
Oh, a group message? It's on. I did one for the recording. So when you look at if you go to YouTube, you'll find it. Do you like that? Can I get a show of hands? Everyone, do you like the generalized message? Yeah? Survey says yes, and thanks for asking. Thanks for reminding me about it. I'm like I say, I'm redoing how I'm rethinking how I'm doing things, which shouldn't surprise you two. You've been watching me do this crap for 5 years now, 6 years. But yeah, thanks for reminding me of that. So I will do it, but at the end I will do a message for the group. All right, I'll bless you and leave you that. And Oscar, would you like a message?
Yes, please.
All right, I've got an image of, there's a bush, and I don't know the type of bush, but it's a rather big bush. It's like, I'd say it's probably 6, maybe 8 feet in circumference. And it's one of those bushes that has like thousands and thousands and thousands of blossoms on it. And this whole bush is buzzing with all of the bees, and they're honeybees that are visiting all of the blossoms on the bush. And, you know, it's one of those things, if you looked at it and you were allergic to honeybees, you would not want to go anywhere near it, because its thing is alive with the sounds and the motion and the beauty of all of these honeybees visiting all of these blossoms on this bush. Now, here's the part of the message that's interesting. You're the one who owns the bush, but you don't own the honeybees. And so you own this bush, and your owning the bush creates this wonderful habitat for all of these honeybees. And in the back of your mind, you're questioning, you're doubting, and you're wondering whether or not you're trying to figure out kind of the good and the bad, the good karma, bad karma of having this wonderful bush for all the honeybees that benefits the honeybees, but you don't own the honeybees. And I don't know what that means to you, and I don't know what that, but you put up the bush, the honeybees are there enjoying the bush, but you're not the one who owns the hive with the honeybees. And for some reason, that's creating some kind of disconnect for you. And I can't tell if the disconnect is whether you should be owning the hive and getting the benefit of the honey created by your bush and the honeybees, or there's some kind of questioning or doubting or wondering about the equanimity of the situation and the arrangement. And as we go into the holidays, the message is simply to allow things to be the way they are. Because as things stand right now, everybody is benefiting. You're enjoying the plant, you're enjoying the activity with the honeybees in the plant, and whoever owns the bees is getting the benefit of the honey and the nectar and the pollen. There may be a time in the future where you may want to change how things are going, but right now it's working, and it seems that everybody is benefiting, so just enjoy the process, enjoy what's happening. And I will bless you and leave you with that and ask you if you have any questions or concerns, or if that makes any sense to you.
So thank you very much again.
Does it make sense?
No, there is nothing relates to my daily living. So,
well, just notice over the next couple of weeks if you're wondering what's in it for you or what's in it for someone else based on an arrangement. So if you get a feeling,
yes, I will.
Yeah, that would be the overall feeling and the sense that I'm getting is it seems to be, it's a feeling of it seems to be working, but what's in it for everybody? What does everybody get out of it? And the last time I kind of felt this was, sometimes people make offers to be nice, but something doesn't feel right with the offer. So sometimes people make offers because they're being nice, but then they kind of resent the offer later. So it's like, oh yeah, I'll give you a ride to work every day. And then 2 weeks later, you're still giving this person a ride to work, and it doesn't feel right anymore. So notice if one of those type feelings comes up for you.
Okay. Yes, I will. Okay.
Right. And I'll bless you and leave you with that.
I'll be alert. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I think that's probably Wanda on the phone now. Wanda, I have no idea. All right, let's see.
Yes.
All right, so Nathan steps very close to me, and if you remember, Nathan's kind of my companion guide and healer. And you've got a bag of beans, and it looks like kidney beans, those big red beans you put in chili. And
Yes.
as you're looking at these beans, a thought goes through your mind, and it's like the whole Jack and the Beanstalk thing, and you're kind of wondering if they're magic beans. And what Nathan is saying to you is to become fascinated, and by fascinated I mean in step into the mystery of, step into the magic of, if you were to take a bean and plant it in the ground, the fact that it would grow a bean plant or a bean stalk, that whole process is kind of magical if you think about it. Science understands some of the mechanics, but they don't understand all of the mechanics. And the reason you're being presented this now is that you've got two ideas, two concepts, two ways that you think about things. That you have an awareness, an understanding, and a perception of things. The way you see things is borderline magical, but at the same time borderline very practical. And there is a person that you connect with on a regular basis that doesn't understand how you see things. And that kind of frustrates you. So you know that sometimes beans are magical and sometimes beans are just in chili. And this person just only sees chili beans. And so the message on this is to be very patient with this person, but also to not hide the magic. So allow yourself in the way you see things to just be a natural part of who you are and a natural part of how you do things. And over time, the person who kind of only sees chili beans will start to think, when they hold beans themselves, they'll say, oh, I wonder if these are magic beans. So it's not so much you convincing them that sometimes beans are magic. It's just allowing yourself to experience and enjoy the magic that you see, which over time rubs off on the other person. So when they pick up beans, even though they don't really necessarily believe in magic beans, in the back of their mind they start to wonder, are those beans magic? So rather than being a direct, these are magic, it's just really allow yourself to exemplify your beliefs. And as you exemplify your beliefs, trust that over time, they may start to ask questions themselves, which will have them expand their awareness and question the way things work. And this feels like a pretty close person. It feels more like a family type person, but I don't know necessarily.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. You know?
Yeah, cool.
Oh, okay, excellent. Well, I will bless you and leave you with that. And so if you'll hit *6 again, so we don't end up getting any background noise. And I'm glad you found us. I'm glad it worked. And next week we'll work on getting you where you can see the picture of everything. So.
Oh God, this is a magic telephone that I still don't understand, but I'm trying.
Perfect. If you'd been here for the last 6 months, you would realize that every damn week I try, and some weeks I fail. So everyone take a deep breath, and as you take a deep breath, I'm going to invite one of my teachers to step forward and share a message with the overall group. And the person who steps forward is Red Hawk, my protector guide, Native American, and he's from the central part of the United States, northern central part. I don't know which tribe. So he's stepping forward, and let's see what he has to say. This is a technique called inspirational speaking, so it's a very, very light form of trance. The days get shorter. As the days shorten, options seem to be limited to what nature says is possible. Remember, however, that your mind, your creativity, your innovation makes you less dependent on nature than the beasts and creatures that are around you. See not the limitation of a shortened day, but rather the possibilities of a longer night. Because just as anything becomes possible to one who refuses to accept the limitations, so becomes possible anything you can clearly hold in your mind and know will come about. A bit earlier, a message was shared about magic beings. But why is it that so many people refuse to see the magic in all things, living and non-living? Think about the magic of how the moon changes its appearance every day. Allow yourself to become amazed at its constant changes. But yet, regardless its change, it doesn't ever change form. Only its perception is different. Ponder that over these next few days as you enjoy the longer nights of these winter months. My highest blessings. Okay, so that was Red Hawk. And Albert, thank you for bringing that up again, because the feeling I'm experiencing right now is it's one of possibility within a routine. And what I mean by that is, as he was showing me the different phases of the moon, every 28 days the moon goes through the same phases. But each phase of the moon is in a different time. It's not the same date. It's not the same experience, because it's not the same. Nothing's the same because we've moved through time. And even though there's this temporal, there's this beat, there's a cycle of how the moon moves forward and is constantly changing how we perceive it, it's always the same. But it's in that sameness that allows us to count on certain things, even though the opportunity is different every time that cycle repeats itself. So as you can tell, I'm still kind of wrapped up in this feeling and not really knowing how to express it. So I don't know if that made any damn sense to you, because it barely made any sense to me. So thank you, Albert. I appreciate that. Something for us all to ponder. So, all right, so that's the end of our service. I want to thank you for being here. Let's set an intention for the week. And that intention for the week is to accomplish one thing. So think about one thing you want to be true next Sunday that's not true right now. And I want you to imagine that you show up here next Sunday morning, the 22nd, the Sunday before Thanksgiving, and you've accomplished that one thing. What does it feel like to show up here in this small but growing community of Spirit360 Fellowship and having accomplished that? What's that feeling? Will you be happy? Will you be accomplished? Will you be thrilled? Will you be relieved? Will you be proud? Whatever that sense is, whatever that feeling, whatever that beingness, that's your context. That's your intention for the week. And I invite our spirit guides and teachers to help us maintain that intention, that context for the week. And with every action, open our eyes that we may see exactly what there is for us to bring about that accomplishment. Open our ears that we may hear and comprehend what we need to understand to bring that about. Open our minds that we expand what's possible in our actions to bring about that which we want to accomplish. But most importantly of all, to open our hearts that we may truly give and receive love freely as we take these actions for the highest and best good of ourselves and those in our lives, that we may indeed thrive and experience abundance in this lifetime, a sense of true peace of mind, health, and well-being. And together we say, and so it is. So I want to thank you all for joining us. It's been my honor and privilege to connect with you today. If you have any questions for me, you can email me at terry@spirit360.org. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. And until then, my highest blessings, and take good care, everyone. And remember, spiritual is as spiritual does.